Nice to meet you. There's been three constants in my life, and one of them is writing. The other one is a passion for the environment. And the third one is scarcity. And so a couple of years ago, I decided to change that and start really living from a place of abundance and chasing after those big dreams. My big dream, like I say, has always been to support the environment. I got off track. I got seriously off track about 14 years ago when I was traveling the world, seeing all sorts of incredible sights, totally living the dream, authentic me. I was raped, and that really put the brakes on, I think, that spirit within, with all those big hopes and dreams. And I really started creating a safe life. I developed an anxiety condition that kept me safe in that bubble of my life. And I really got out of alignment. I really got off track. But 2.5 years ago, I I set the intention that things had to change. And I write about this in my book. And I guess the book was there. The idea of the book was there from the day I set the intention to change things around. But I never had the confidence to write the book. I never had the belief that somebody would want to read my story. And at Christmas, I just felt this urge, this feeling that something had changed, and I started to write. And these words started to flow out so easily that I couldn't deny that it was meant to be, right? I assigned a title, Life Through a Lens, because all through the book I'm talking about perspective and how when we go through things, as we're going through them, we see them a lot differently than if we look back, right? When we look back, we can look from other perspectives. That's why we use coaches like me, is for somebody to hold a mirror up and show you a different perspective on what you're going through when you're going through it, because that is where the power lies. I put my life on hold for 14 years as I gave in to those feelings of fear because of what had happened to me and those beliefs that I'd created about the world, about myself, and I wasn't impacting anyone. And, my family as well have dealt with that. So what Life Through a Lens tries to help you to do through my story and the tools that I've learned is to take that perspective in the moment so that you can change things. And the biggest thing that I realized writing the book, the biggest thing that I wanted to change was the destiny of the fate of the world's rainforests. In 2010, I did go back to South America, not back to where I'd originally gone. I went to Brazil. And I volunteered for an organization called Iracambi. I did this because I was feeling that lack of alignment in my life. I was really miserable. I just lost my nan, and I guess I was running away. And in the rainforest, I had this clearing. I had this realization of, like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Why am I in the job that I'm in, around the people that I'm around? Where has all the dreams and the hope gone? And I think the seed was planted right there and then that things were going to change, but I had to unravel first. And so when I was in the rainforest working for Iracambi and seeing what they were doing, they work for a small patch of rainforest in Brazil called the Atlantic rainforest. And there's only 7% of this rainforest left. So if you compare that to somewhere like the Amazon's only lost 20% of what was originally there, and people are rallying all around the world to save the Amazon because of the species, because of the undiscovered cures. And yet we've got this piece of rainforest in Brazil that has lost 97% of it, along with the endemic species, along with the undiscovered cures, along with, it just landed right there. And the problem there is fragmentation because of development. So because of the call of development, replacing endemic plants and species with coffee, things like that. The forest is being fragmented, and the smaller the fragment of forest, the less species it can actually conserve. So Iracambi are working to educate the local people about how they can reforest, how they can use the endemic species in the forest to make an income rather than going to, thanks Lillian, going to things like coffee and having and bamboo and having to take the forest down. And what they're doing is this incredible thing that, for me, gives hope to other rainforests around the world, including here in New Zealand, because there are patches of rainforest here in New Zealand that are suffering from fragmentation because of development, because of urban growth, and our own endemic kiwi is the victim, because those fragments of forest are becoming smaller. And that story is a story being told all over the world because the human population is growing, the need for more urban space is growing, people don't understand what is happening, and I want to change that with my book. I want to write the story of Iracambi into my existing story and raise awareness of the plight of rainforests around the world. And so I've found, or a publisher found me, moreover, really it was kind of a universe stepping in, putting us together moment, and she is going to help me to write this story in. And the idea at the moment is that each book, not only will $5 of each book go directly to Iracambi to replant a tree and maintain it for a year, but there will be space in the book so that when you read life through a lens, when you realize your aha moments and you have your moments of growth, you can share your story into the book, your message of hope, your inspiration, and hand the book on. And so the idea is that the original published books get handed around. So we're not printing off huge amounts of paper. The idea is to gift the book on, gift a book of hope, raise awareness of the rainforests, what we can do, how we can help. And like the other thing is helping people go through trauma, because obviously my story is one of trauma, one where I learned ways to survive in the reality that I created after being raped, and I learned a few things doing that I want to share on. So Life Through a Lens is a story of hope. It is a how-to with perspective, how you can look in your situations, look at your story to find different outcomes that allow you to go forward, find the purpose in your pain. And my goal is to raise a lot of money for Iracambi and raise a lot of awareness for rainforests. So I hope that has all come across clearly, because it's not something that I've been talking about, because I went through this period of feeling like it was too big, right? I felt like this was too big, this big dream, big goal. How could I achieve that? And the funding for it is huge as well. I also had a lot of fear about sharing my story, about actually sharing the nitty-gritty of what happened to me in South America and how it really, I always say, stop the wheels turning on my life, because that's what it felt like. It felt like the world stopped turning. It felt like my life stopped living and I just started to exist. But the more people that I've spoken to, the more I know that I'm not alone in that experience, whether it's from rape or abuse or some other trauma, right? I met a guy in Florida who had his leg blown off in the war, and I just listened to him, and he had the same as me, not the same, but post-traumatic stress disorder. And there are so many people who get to that place where they don't know how to go through what they've been through. They stop believing that there's hope. They stop seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and they stop seeing that there's another side. And I want life through a lens to prove that that's not true. And I think to prove that nothing is impossible, everything is possible, to actually make a dent in the struggle of the Atlantic rainforest is powerful, because I believe it is possible. I believe that in partnership with Iracambi, providing funding to their cause, raising awareness of the cause, that we can make a huge difference if we each do our part.